Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell. Welcome to Week in Review. This is a series of videos that we do where we tell you about all the videos we did the previous week. We give you short summaries of them, and then if you want to see more about each of these videos, you can click the link in the description below. I should mention that this is the only normal video going up this week in Review, because in just a few hours the Autumn Spectacular will horrifically start. So come and join us for that in just a few hours. But for now, let's talk about next week. Here we go.
Hey everybody, I'm Zeke Garcia. Here's what I did last week. So I reviewed Splendor Duel, which I rated an 8 out of 10. Splendor Duel is a very nice implementation, follow-up spin-off of Splendor. Obviously only for 2 people, and it does a really great job of taking the mechanisms in the original one and expanding on them, adding tension, adding a back and forth between the 2 players, which gives it a feel of game of chicken, where you don't want to be the one to have to do certain replenishing actions and instead force your opponent to do it. So you wait each other out, you try to be opportune, you try to be sneaky with your timing. I found it to be very, very pleasant. And then I reviewed Unmatched Houdini versus the Genie, which I also rated an 8 out of 10. This is the latest pack for Unmatched. You can mix it with previous things. You can play it right out of the box. I think it's a much better package for mixing, for taking these 2 characters and adding them to your previous collection of Unmatched characters. These 2 are going to be fun. They're enjoyable. They're neat. I just think it's not a great introductory set, and this matchup takes getting used to. These 2, at first blush, it feels like they're not balanced. It feels like a weird matchup. Thematically, those 2 go together. They're sort of magical, okay? But, you know, it's a lot better if you take these people and throw them into your previous Unmatched sets, and then I'd say, yes, fantastic. Just don't try to learn from these 2. But really strong, lovely artwork, fun, well done, and they're continuing to find interesting design space in this game, which is mind-blowing in and of itself. So there you go, Unmatched, another great hit for them. And that's it for me. I'll see you on the next one.
What's up, Sandcats? I'm Chris. This week I took a look at quite a few games, starting with Birdsong. I gave a 6. Very beautiful, very pretty game. It is set collection with a few extra steps in it, a few underwhelming cards, but fun. I would play it again, but okay. A little bit disappointing. Speaking of disappointing, Twilight Inscription, I also gave a 6. I'm not the biggest fan of Twilight Imperium in the world, but I enjoy it plenty. This is a good, competent roll-and-write game, but I feel like there's plenty that are either more fun, more interactive, or more epic. So, a little bit of a letdown, but still a decent game. So Twilight Inscription is 6. Next up, Flamecraft. I gave a 7.5. Very beautiful. This is such a fun, inviting, enticing-looking game. The gameplay matches it. A little bit procedural, a few kind of stepwise things you got to keep in mind. And if it flowed, I thought, a little bit smoother, then it could have even gone higher. Maybe more plays will iron it out. But for now, 7.5 for Flamecraft. Terra Nova, 7.5. That's where the Sandcats reference is from. Sandcats, very fun, different factions in Terra Nova. This is a simplification of Terra Mystica. I'm not actually the biggest fan of Terra Mystica. I respect it more than I have fun with it. Terra Nova, I have more fun with it than I respect it. So anyway, 7.5 for Terra Nova. Next up, My Shelfie. I gave it an 8. This is a Phil Walker Harding, Matthew Dunstan game. You are drafting things out of a lineup of tiles and dropping them into these bookcases. Very Connect 4 type of a fun, kinesthetic activity. I think I used the right word. Anyway, calisthenics. Next up, Splendor Duel. I gave it an 8.5. I really like this a lot more than the original Splendor. This feels like Splendor with a cohesive expansion built into it. I like the head-to-head interaction. Very thoughtful. Love the grid. Love all of the additions, basically. So Splendor Duel, an 8.5. And then lastly, Caesar's Empire. I gave a 10. I don't give 10s very lightly. This is a very lightweight game, but every time I play it, I feel like there's more hidden depth there. Every time I teach it, people say, oh, that's all the rules. And then they start playing it and they really get into it. I love this game tremendously. So Caesar's Empire gets a 10 from me. That's been my week.
Hi, this week I reviewed the game Call to Adventure, a storytelling game for 1 to 4 players who have to create their own hero adventure by acquiring traits and winning challenges, throwing runes. This mechanic and the storytelling are pretty fun, but the rulebook is very confusing and incomplete. So for that reason, I gave this one a 6 out of 10.
Week in review, what you gonna do? Mike, can you have the box come in from this side this time? No? Oh, this one? Okay. So hey, first I took a look at Twilight Inscription. I love Twilight Imperium. I hate roll and writes. I'm not as big a fan of this game. If you're looking for Twilight Imperium in a box, not it. If you're looking for a heavy roll and write game, maybe you'll like it. I gave it a 5. Also, I took a look at Houdini and the Genie. It rhymes and stuff. I really enjoy Unmatched. This set was really cool. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the Genie. I love card draw. I love jumping around, being super aggressive. Houdini was more of a run around, be an escape arch, which is very thematic, not necessarily my play style. I gave this an 8.5 overall. I just love Unmatched, and I love having new characters to play with. But yeah, so that's what I took a look at this week.
All right, this week I took a look at 2 different games. The first one is Splendor Duel, and I gave this one a 7. This is an abstract game. It's a 2-player implementation of Splendor, which I did not care for at all, but I thought that this 2-player game brought some interesting choices to it. So even though it's an abstract, which is not my wheelhouse, I did really enjoy it, and it's one I can see myself going to sometimes, so a 7. The other one I took a look at was Birdwatcher. Birdwatcher, I came in at an 8 for this. Really enjoyed my play of this. I found it very soothing. The artwork was very endearing, I think, and I found a very smooth gameplay, great theme integration here, and one that I look forward to returning to this one multiple times. I really enjoy the theme and the look and the feel of this one again, with those decisions, that decision space and kind of a push your luck. There just has a good angst in between your turns. So that's it for me. Let's keep going.
Hello everyone, this week I reviewed A Walk in the Park. It's a small little roll and write game where you're rolling the dice, drawing out these paths to connect to landmarks. Unfortunately, it didn't really leave much of a mark, and I give it 5 out of 10, as it was okay and just left me wanting a lot more from it.
Hey there everybody, it's Mike Delicio, and this week I reviewed 4 games. First up, I reviewed Caesar's Empire. I gave this a 7 out of 10. This is a route building game, and I don't tend to love route building games, but this one is really good in the sense that it is clever. It is very easy to teach and learn. It's fast, and it plays really well up to 5 players. And so, for that reason, it is one that I could recommend, even though I don't tend to love this style of game. I also reviewed My Shelfie, which I also gave a 7. This is a filler weight game by Phil Walker Harding and Matthew Dunstan, where you are placing tiles in almost like a Connect 4 contraption, if you remember that game from when you were a kid. It's clever, it is cute, it is very light, and so I don't know if it has a lot of staying power. It's not a game I think that I come back to over and over again, but I do like the game, I do recommend the game, just know going in that it's not a tremendous amount of replayability, I don't think. I also reviewed Twilight Inscription, which I gave an 8 out of 10. This is the roll and write version, so to speak, of Twilight Imperium 1 through 4, or whatever the edition is. I don't know a whole lot about Twilight Imperium. I played it once, the 4th edition, and I enjoyed it, although I probably never need to play it again. I like heavier roll and writes, and I think this is a really good one. I think that it does enough to set it apart from many other roll and writes. It's a bit more interactive than most roll and writes I've played, and I really like how the warfare works. I like how you have 4 distinct boards, but you only ever have 1 active board every turn. I think that's very clever. I think if you're a huge fan of TI4 or whatever version, you may be more inclined to not like this because you're going to be coming in with some expectations that maybe myself and other people that haven't played it as much might not. And then finally, I reviewed Flamecraft, which I'm giving an 8.5, a seal of excellence. This is a game that is absolutely adorable, of course. The theme is great. The look of the game is great. The production is fantastic. But what I really think makes the game special is that it is one that has a really nice ratio of decisions to rules. It is very simple to teach. I think it is a very approachable and wide, a game with wide appeal, but you still are making real decisions every turn, compelling decisions, and it's a game that has a nice bit of variability to it. I really, really like Flamecraft a lot. All right, well, that was it for me this week. Let's keep it moving.
Okay, so first of all, I reviewed several games I'm not a big fan of, in a new series that, I've kind of done this series before, but now it has a name called 6 Games I Played, so you don't have to. So 6 different games that I don't think too much of, and you can check them out in that video. We reviewed Birdwatcher, and this to me was very much a meh game. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Meh's strong. I don't dislike the game, but it's just collecting sets of birds feels the same as many others. Pretty birds. Terra Nova. I gave this one a 7, although it's a pretty low 7, but I like the game. I feel like this is a baby Terra Mystica, Terra Nova, but I feel like there could have been more to it, actually. It's kind of weird. They simplified it just a bit too much, but it's still fun. Lots of choices and definitely more accessible. Caesar's Empire. I gave this one an 8. I really enjoy this game. It scales well as you're placing. I call it a super filler, putting out these different roads on the board, connecting all cities to Rome. Twilight Inscription. I gave this one an 8. It's a roll and write style game that I thought would be ridiculous because it's based on Twilight Imperium, but it works well. I thought the Twilight Imperium theme came through, at least for me. Not too much, but there's a bit of it in there, and I liked it. Then Flamecraft. I really enjoyed Flamecraft. I gave this one a 9 out of 10. Flamecraft, the cute factor's off the charts, but besides that, it's a really good, solid game where you just get more and more resources, and you have these cute dragons you're playing in different spots. A very accessible game and one that I really enjoyed. I also did my top 10 Rio Grande games. We did a preview of games that are coming out at the Spiel Fair at Essen, which, by the way, we'll be at in just a week from tomorrow. We'll be at the Essen Game Fair. And we did our normal shows, the final Thursday board game breakfast, crowd surfing, Q&A, and more. So there you go, folks. I hope you have a fantastic day. This has been Week in Review. I'm Tom Vassell. We'll see you next time.